Hi everyone, I hope you're doing okay. I'm not sure if I'm making just a system update video or if I'm doing a week with my notebooks video. You guys, by the time you're watching, will know, but I don't. So I'm not sure how to intro this, but hi, I hope you're doing okay. I have obviously changed books, and this might be a big surprise for some of you. It's probably not a surprise to those of you on Tumblr that I accidentally leaked this to. But it is a surprise for me also in some ways. What I'm gonna do today is just jump straight into talking about my new system, about how I'm using this book, and then once I've done that, I'll talk about why I changed book. I think it will work better this way because that way people who aren't regular viewers or subscribers can get the information they need or are interested in without having to listen to me talk about my inner crises for 20 minutes. So I'm just going to talk about my system and then I will talk about why I ditched my other book. Ditched is very harsh. I think the only thing you need to know is that before I was using the Hobonichi Cousin, I was using the Hobonichi Weeks for planning and I was using Field Notes books as my commonplace journal, or my commonplace book. This was a system that was working absolutely fine for me. I still recommend it. If you want to go back and find the video where I explain that system, that's cool. It was great. My reason for changing books had nothing to do with it not working. It's just like I had a crisis. So it's 100% on me, not on the books. I do stand by everything I said about those books. I really liked using them. I'm just at a weird point in my life, so I wanted something bigger, basically, is essentially the situation. So I do still recommend that if that looks more appealing to you. The only thing I think you really need to know is that I was planning in this one and I was commonplacing in this one. And I am looking forward to this because I want everything to be in one place. And with that said, I will go straight into talking about how I'm using this book. I'm just going to do it chronologically for the layout of the book because I think that makes the most sense, otherwise I'm going to have to go back and forth constantly. So we can start with the calendar pages, and I am using the calendar pages exactly the same way as I did in my week's book for regular subscribers. And by that I mean I'm using my calendar pages as a calendar. I'm keeping track of appointments and events. What I've been doing is underlining appointments and events that are relevant to me personally in grey so that I know to look out for them. I probably should have used a brighter colour. I might switch to purple for April, but I've been underlining those in grey, and then I've been underlining other notes in like just black pen. So like my dad was out but I wasn't going or anything, it wasn't relevant to me, so I just underlined it. This one is a public holiday, so again I just underlined it in black, but because I wasn't doing anything it didn't really matter, so it's not grey. Hope that makes sense. Hopefully at least this very beginning bit makes sense. I am decorating lightly. These are my own stickers. These ones, I don't know who makes them, but I'll put a link in the description for them. The gold star stickers, I actually don't know where I bought these. I've been trying to find these exact ones and I can't find them, so that's fantastic. I am using the Stalogy, are they Stalogy? I think they're Stalogy. I'm using these Stalogy dot stickers for my index, but again I'll link those in the description for anyone interested. The only thing for regular subscribers that has changed about my calendar page is that I am now including a to-do list on the side. In the weeks you don't really have enough room to do that, it's quite a small space, and I am really enjoying, just generally speaking, how much more space you have in the cousin. It is honestly like, it's a relief. It's nice to have that bit much more room to finish articulating myself in the way that I want, rather than trying to squeeze it into what is a very small box in the weeks. Which did work fine for me for a long time, I didn't mind, but it's nice to have this bit more room now that I want it. Also, I just want to quickly mention the only reason I made the jump to get this book is because I had an expiring Amazon gift card. I didn't just like randomly make like a £60 purchase on the fly. I had an expiring Amazon gift card as well as an internal crisis, and it just happened to work out that I only had to pay like 20 quid for it. Obviously if you don't have an expiring Amazon gift card, this is quite a big purchase compared to the cost of like the week's book. So just wanted to mention that. That is how I'm using my calendar pages. I used to track books on this page. I'm not sure if I might do that again or if I might try and do that somewhere else. But if you're a regular viewer, I'll update you as I work things out. Obviously, I backfilled these two pages, February and March, from my other book, just so I could get an idea of how it looks and to show you guys. But not really too much has changed. I do like the way it looks. I'm quite happy with it. This time around, I think I'm aiming to fill more boxes up. So as well as having my calendars and stuff, I have little notes about things I've been doing or about how things are going. And I've included some work notes here tagged in blue. This one is a commonplace quote. So it's a quote, just a short quote I think. And this one, the pink one, is Autistic Sherlock Holmes. So some notes about that. I am trying to fill up more space. The idea for this bigger book, also I'm losing my voice, I'm so sorry if it's like wavering around. The idea for this book is that I want to catalogue my existence a bit more, like when I was a kid, which is a theme that I'll talk about in the other half of the video. But I want to keep track of more information. I want to be able to write freer and use the book a bit more freely. So alongside my functional bits, I just want more like archival / cataloguing type stuff. Yeah, the whole idea basically is I wanted more room. So moving on from the calendar pages, which are super simple, I'm not doing anything special with those. The biggest thing about using this book, the reason why I chose the cousin over the Hobonichi A6, for example, which I've used before and didn't get on with, is because of their weekly pages. I would have gotten the day free, but for some reason the day free don't have the weekly pages, and I feel like that doesn't make any sense. I feel like it should have been a given that the day free had the weekly pages, because I feel like so many people would have jumped on that. I'm not sure if that's a general sentiment, but I feel like it probably is. It's weird that it doesn't have it, but I chose the cousin because of these weekly pages. This is why it's not as like out of the blue of a change or as mad as a change as it might seem, because those of you who are regular viewers will remember that the reason I moved from the A6 into the weeks was because I realized that having all of my tasks on daily pages wasn't working for me. I needed to have them on one page. I had to be able to look at my tasks as I went through the week without having to turn pages back and forth, because I just was not remembering to do that. Obviously I'm autistic, so having to remember to change the pages and to manually move tasks across pages just wasn't working because of the whole like out of sight, out of mind thing. When you turn the page, it's gone, and it just wasn't working for me. Even on the weeks I did remember to turn back, like I just felt really disconnected day to day. And because I have issues with my memory and with time passing, that kind of thing, I just like, I was losing days, I felt, even though they were all there and I could go back and look at them on good weeks. Because they were all so disconnected, it wasn't working for me. Having a weekly view like I did in the hobonichi weeks really changed my life. It really helped me, it really upped my productivity. Not only that, but it really helped me to manage myself. It helped me to look after myself more efficiently, and that is the main pull for me. So choosing the cousin over the A6 felt like a no-brainer, even though I've never had a book this size in the last like 10 years. Because I wanted these weekly pages, and I'm so excited to have a bit more room in these pages, like I said about the week's book. Like, it's just that bit smaller, and it's going to be so much nicer to have more room. Like, I could make notes about each day on the day if I want to, while still having a full weekly view. So because I accidentally, unintentionally, unplannedly transitioned the book a week early, I can't use this yet. I can use this from next week, obviously. The final week of March is next week. So I don't yet know how I'm using this space. I will maybe draw up like some headings and see how I feel. But this will be an update for regular viewers next week probably, because I'm not sure yet. I've been looking for references online, but I'm mostly finding a lot of like very heavily stickered photos, like with headers and like the bits that go at the bottom and like big stick-on bits, and they cover the dates and stuff, and that's not really my style personally. So I want it to be functional but still nice to look at. So I guess I'll see how I go. I think that's going to be one of those ones that I just have to work out for myself as I go. So I will say that my only clear plan is to have my task master list on this side. I don't think I ever exceed more than this many tasks in a week, so that's fine. This is my task master list here. So it's just a list of running tasks during the week. And I can tick the days off. So I guess what I'm going to do is write down the list here and then write down which days I work on it. And I think that'll be okay because it's still across one page. Or 2 pages, it's across one spread. So I think that's still going to work well for me. And it might even help me to feel more productive if I have to keep adding the days I work on it. I'm not sure, but I'll update you. Again, with my habit tracking, which I do at the top here, and I just tick off the days, I'm not sure how that's going to work. I might just draw a tracker at the bottom of the page. I've seen people online do that, similar to how I use the rest of the book, which I'll show you in a second, where you can just draw a line yourself and disregard the numbers, which is fine because I don't really use the timeline anyway. So I might do that. We'll see how we go, but I will update you on this. So this is where I will do all of my functional planning though. And I think this is all the space I'll need aside from the calendar. I'm not really worried about needing more room, obviously, because I came from a smaller book. So if anything, I'll probably have some pretty empty spreads to start with. But I'm really excited to see how I go with this. And then finally, I will talk about my commonplace book section, and I have already filled out some pages because well, first of all, because I was really excited, and second of all, so I can show you what I mean. I did also draw a plan. A little plan here where I've been splitting up the page and sort of writing about it just because I got the book and I was like, I have to do something in it right now. So I drew up a plan, which to be fair, not a bad idea. My index system, I didn't invent this. I think the first page I ever saw this kind of indexing system with dot stickers was Nick Cave in The Bad Seeds. He has these lyric journals that I used to see online as a kid. and I thought they were the coolest thing. And because I was already famously stealing books from my classrooms and keeping notes about my life and just the stuff I was doing, I thought that was really cool. So I've been at this a long time, and it's nice. This time around I'm using really pretty stickers. I've actually been finding it harder and harder to find the primary dot colours that I used to use, that I have been using famously for a while. I've actually been finding them harder to track down. I used to tell you all that you could just get them in like discount shops and everything, and now I'm struggling to find them. So I'm glad to have changed to those Stalogy dots because they're really pretty, first of all. They're much nicer to look at. Sometimes I had clashing primary colours on a page and it made me sad. But I can't go wrong with this because it's kind of moody and I like it. So my index dots are as follows. This is for keeping track of like categories. So the grey one is for copy text or quotes for commonplace. Basically all of my commonplace stuff goes under the grey dot. It's all the articles I want to keep, everything I'm researching and writing about, quotes that I see that I like, that kind of thing. Any kind of like copy to text goes into my commonplace, and it's marked in grey. And then the other categories I have are work notes / illustrations, so just all my work notes, any illustration thoughts, that kind of thing. The purple one is miscellaneous personal notes. So these are like, if I did want to write more plans down, I would tag it with purple so I could find it. Or just like journal entries and miscellaneous personal notes. It's just everything else that's like personal. It's just when I need to empty my brain. I call it brain drain after the Ramones album. And it is just that, it's a brain drain. It's my brain dumping section, but I hate saying brain dump, so brain drain. It's just where I put all of my thoughts, basically. If I want extra room to write about stuff, that's where I do it. The purpley pink one is Autistic Sherlock Holmes. That's one of my older special interests. I just make a lot of notes. It's like therapeutic for me to like write out loops of headcanons, I guess you would call it. Like, it's just, I don't want to elaborate because it's embarrassing and it's very personal, but I just write out loops of like almost headcanons. It's like very therapeutic to just write out sentences and sentences and sentences about it. I find it quite relaxing, and then I can go back and read them when I'm stressed. And again, it's just like the loops of it are very soothing. So that's what that dot is for. And then the really pink dot, the pinky red dot, is special interest notes / information or autistic references. So my other special interests go under that one. And any kind of autistic references or information. So if I write down some coping mechanisms, it would go under that pink dot. And this way I can disconnect that stuff from my other personal stuff. It just makes it a lot easier to find special interest notes, but also any kind of like management skills that I've written down, or like other thoughts, articles, that kind of thing, that are very specific, like autistic focused. It's just helpful to have that under a separate category. Obviously these categories should be tailored to you. These are just the really hyper-specific ones I've worked out over the years, but it works for me. I don't generally need other colours. The only extra one I added this time around is a black dot, which I really like. I really like the black dot, and it's for images that aren't my own. And by that I mean images that are basically a commonplace entry in their own right, if that makes sense. That's how I'm tagging it. Like, I'll show you. For example, these two photos. This one is a screenshot from the X-Files, and this one is a meme of some sheep. So I haven't tagged those because they're obviously not mine, but also they're just silly. They're just like, I guess, more personal. They're more about illustrating what I've been up to and thinking about, rather than being a commonplace entry in their own right, like this artifact is. This is from the 14th century. They don't know where, but they think maybe France. But because I wanted to include this because I thought it was cool, I wrote down the source down here, and then I tagged it with the black dot because I consider it to be an image that I have collected deliberately, like with the intention of being like, oh, that's neat, I would like to keep that to look at later, rather than just being like, I'm watching the X-Files. So that is kind of the idea. This is a journal entry, but this image is not a part of that, so that's why it's tagged separately, because I feel like it's a commonplace entry in its own right, as I keep saying. So these are the first like commonplace entries I did. These two are both brain drain text. That's why I've not tagged it twice, because it's still brain drain. That's how I'll be doing it from now on. I used to tag lots in my book, like I would just keep tagging it like on here. sometimes you'd get loads, but I've decided not to do that anymore because I want to try and save some stickers. I don't want to use too many. So if the same topic or same category carries across on both pages, I just won't retag it. I'll just leave the one to tag because I think that makes more economical sense. I did tag this one obviously because it's not a part of that. It's its own thing, as I said. So I hope that makes sense. How I'm using this page, these pages, is that I have drawn this grey line across sort of like the middle-ish, the third of the page. I think it's more than a third, I don't know. But the third-ish of the page, it's basically just under where the timeline ends because I thought that made sense. It's like 3 squares from under the timeline. And I'm using that bottom section as a journaling space for the day that the page correlates to. So if I get to the 2nd of April, the 1st of April is lost, but if I wanted to write more notes on the 2nd of April, if I had a lot to say, if I have a particularly bad day, if I had a particularly good day, maybe we'll get lucky, I can write about it down here. I've left that space for that, and that's, generally speaking, is enough room to do that. It's quite a lot of room, just because the book is that much bigger than my old books were, so it's quite nice. And then above the grey line, what I'm doing is using that space all the time as my commonplace book. So basically only the top half is my commonplace book and the bottom half is my journal, and I think that makes some kind of sense. Like, maybe it's just me, but I feel like that makes so much sense, and that's kind of cool. And then I can also use, back to the very, very front of the book, I can use these calendar index pages, which a lot of people use for habit tracking, which would have been cool, but ultimately I want to be able to find stuff. I can use this as my index for topics. So for example, if for my current pages, I would write, not this one is a commonplace entry on migraines. It's an article I copied out from a New Scientist magazine. So what I could do is then go to the 3rd of April down here, and I would write it out and put a dot probably to tag it. And that's quite good. I think that's quite helpful. So then I can use it as an index for the book. Which feels kind of smart, you know. I can use that as my contents page, but then I can obviously write according to the date as well. So I think it makes sense. I'm not sure how I would do that if I was using the day free and it wasn't dated. So yeah, I think it's working. Is that everything I needed to say? Oh, the margin. God forbid I forget the margin. I love margins. I love a good margin. Most of you know this. I am using the invisible line down the side here as my margin, invisible line that Hobonichi make for my margin. It's nice, again, it's just so nice to have a bigger margin because in my previous book, my margins were like piddly small. They were so little and I could really only fit like one short word, like up or on, and then like enough, so only like 2 very small words. And it kind of sucks because I use the margins to elaborate on my thoughts and my thinking. So if I write down an article like on this side, I actually wrote about migraines and then I was tracking a migraine on this side in the margin in reference to the text, which is kind of cool. I want to be able to work as freely as that in this space, so I think it makes a lot of sense. It's quite exciting. I'm really excited to have a bigger margin because this is all one article. Again, I've only tagged it once, and then also I disregarded the margin on this side because I didn't think I would need it. At the end of the day, if I do that and then decide actually I do need the margin, I can always just write in the journal space. It's not the end of the world. It's not gonna kill me. So I think it's a system that's gonna be really fun. Yeah, the margin. I love the margin. I like to be writing in the margin. I love to be elaborating on the text I'm interacting with, whether it's my own thoughts or stuff I'm actively researching and reading about. I just love to have more to say. I can't stop talking. So it's nice to feel engaged with the text. So yes, I did this one yesterday with some bits and I used these number stickers just to tag them and then I've sourced them underneath. And again, I think what I'll be doing is putting the source in that box every time just because it makes it a bit easier to find. I am quite prone to underlying parts of the text, so to underline the source I don't think would be enough of a help, but I think putting it in a box does work, so that's quite cool. And again, purple for brain drain, use of the margin, and then the actual text. And I think it's a system that's working. I am really excited about it, and that's, I think, all there is to say about it. That's how I'm doing it. Hope that was concise enough. Yeah, so calendar as a calendar, weekly pages for all my planning, and then the daily pages for my commonplace book. and for my journal stuff. It's nice to keep the journal stuff slightly separate from the commonplace book, because traditionally you would not put your journal notes in your commonplace book. A commonplace book was an item for research. It was a research tool, or like a writer's guide, so you would write down things you read and then you would rework it, that kind of thing. So traditionally journals were separate affairs, but I have always liked to keep things in one place, which leads me on to why I decided to change book. So if you're not interested in that, you can dip off, that's cool, no worries. I might have more video to go. I might add some more like working in my book, so maybe skip forward to look for that. I'll put the timestamp. But if you're not interested, that's cool. Hope you enjoyed this, hope it was helpful for you. And if you are sticking around because you're a regular viewer, hi. So this might be surprising for some of you that I very suddenly out of the blue changed book when this system famously has been working really well for me. And I can't sit here and pretend that this wasn't all brought about by the stuff that happened the last 2 weeks, especially last week. I was already having a weird time, but then all of the stuff that happened last week as it happened, I think it just really shook my confidence, I'm not gonna lie. Not really my confidence in myself, but when you're an autistic person or just a disabled person or whatever in general, and you think you finally got like a slight handle on things, like things are kind of working, like I thought I was maybe gonna start growing my shop and stuff, YouTube has been going well, I was feeling a little bit hopeful and optimistic. I thought I had things like really well organized and controlled. I've been working really hard on like a passion project and I was so excited. And then when something out of your control happens, like a PayPal acting villainous, basically just waiting for me to step into a trap they famously lay for small businesses, like, it shakes your confidence in the world. It shook my faith in the idea that there would ever be room for me to succeed in this world, if that makes sense. Even if I have all of my shit in order and I manage to keep a control on all of my stuff and I manage to manage my, not my symptoms, but my traits, my autistic traits and my difficulties and my other stuff like my migraines, even if I am looking after myself and managing and coping with all of that just about, which always takes all of my energy anyway, like even if I'm coping with that, the idea that I could just still be stumbling through these plot holes, like, I don't know. And I know that's partly just life, it's just dealing with stuff, like it's just dealing and dealing and dealing, that's just life, right? But, you know, not to talk about it again, but when you haven't really wanted to be alive for a lot, like it's just another thing where you're like, oh my god, like it just shook my confidence, okay? It really shook me up. So naturally, because I got really shook up, I started craving things that are familiar and comfortable, and specifically I was thinking about how when I was in school and I was having a truly terrible time and I was stealing those blank composition books from my classroom, and I would spend hours in the evening just writing stuff down, just copying down things from books that I thought were interesting, or like lying on the carpet and like using a Pritt stick to glue in pictures that I had printed using all my print credit from school, that kind of thing. And it just reminded me that I used to keep, it was almost like a field guide for existence, I just didn't know that that existence was autistic yet. And I miss working like that, I miss working that freely, just like really unashamedly collecting everything that I was interested in, whether that was the X-Files or whether that was artifacts or special interest notes. I always used to write books on ancient Egypt. I would like, if anyone remembers the ology books, I used to make my own versions of the ology books, and I would have like a little cellophane bag of sand like stapled onto the printer paper and stuff, like it was like a whole thing. But I miss working that freely, I guess. I miss that part of my creative life. It's not that I wasn't getting on with these, I really was, but I got to a point, I guess, in the field notes where I just wasn't really feeling that creatively inspired anymore. And I just, more than anything else, I just desperately needed all of my stuff in one place because my confidence got shook up and I was really scared. Suddenly I was doubting everything about the idea of trying to function in this world, about trying to make a life for myself in any way. And I was like, I just need it all to be in one space. I need to be able to carry this tome around with all of my thoughts and my notes and my plans and the information that I need in one go, like a comfort blanket, like Linus and his comfort blanket. Like I just really need to have it all in one place, and I need to be able to sit down on the floor and write about my silly stuff and flick back between the pages and feel like a kid sat semi-conscious on a carpet with a glue stick watching the X-Files reruns. So I don't know, I hope that makes some kind of sense. I don't know if it really does, but again, I was having the biggest crisis and I had a Amazon gift card that was expiring, so here we are. I took the plunge. I actually feel good about it. I'm not really sad about it. I do regret not finishing these books. I mean, obviously I finished this one, but I do regret that my weeks won't get finished. I've been thinking about upkeeping it anyway. Obviously I filled it out this week because this book doesn't start weekly pages until next week. So I have filled it out this week. And I am thinking about just continuing it on the side just in case this doesn't work out. But I don't know if I'm gonna remember to keep doing that, so yeah. I hope that makes sense. That is why I changed book. I just needed everything in one place. I needed more room to feel creative again, I guess, to be able to collect more things, to catalogue more things. And I don't really regret it. I think it is reassuring already in some way. I've been talking to the woman who made the leather cover that's on my week's book to see if she could make one to fit this one, and she said she's going to look at the sizing and she's going to work it out, so that's cool. I can just transfer the like aesthetic across. I can just put a new cover on. I'm using the Clear Midori cover. It fits fine. This is not the Codex cover, which is the one that a lot of people recommend to fit the cousin. It's just the normal A5 one and it fits perfectly. I will say that they're not as strong as the Hobonichi covers because I tore it getting it out of the packaging. I am really annoyed. It's flattened down a bit now, but because of the type of plastic it is, it's quite bubbly where it's torn, so that's really a grievance, to be honest. I'm trying not to think about it, and luckily it was on the back. If it had been on the front, boy, I would have, I don't know what, but thankfully it's not, so it's fine. It does fit really well. I do recommend it. I would love to know how many of you guys are using the Hobonichi cousin for your books, your great big books of everything. Please let me know. I would love to see pictures. If you guys have Instagram accounts, put them in the comments and I can have a look, that kind of thing, or Tumblrs, whatever, wherever you're putting your pictures, if you're sharing them. I would love to see them. I am really excited about this, I'm not gonna lie. I'm in a weird place and this feels right now. I feel like this is what I need right now. So, I'm a bit sorry, but I'm not that sorry, if that makes sense. I am really excited about this. I'm excited to have everything in one place again. I'm not sure how portable it's going to be. I can't lie, when I opened it out of the packaging, I was like, oh, this is actually thicker than I thought it would be. And as I said at the beginning, I'm not sure how it's going to bulk up, but hopefully not too terribly. But yeah, here we are. Jump scare, changed book again. But here we are, and that's how it's gonna work. I am excited to share this with you. I'm gonna keep working in here throughout the week, I think. I'm gonna show you some more stuff. It's nice just to be able to print stuff like this. Like, obviously there was nothing really stopping me from putting this stuff in my field notes book, but I guess because the room is so small, like, I just wasn't doing that in the same way. I was in the first book a bit, I think, but I don't know what happened. It's nice to have it all on one page. If I was sticking those in here, it would have to be across, you know, 2 pages maybe, or like more if I wanted to add text. And it's nice to have it in one place and to have like just a flat page, I guess. Obviously I won't be able to carry this around with me daily, like maybe I'll try. The vibe is very much like the Dad's Journal in Supernatural, or Ganzi's book in the Raven Cycles, but with less pages falling out, or maybe like the Shepherd's Journal in Atlantis. Please tell me in the comments your favorite like big books from TV and film, your favorite like unhinged journals, because that's the vibe I'm after. I just want it to have everything. I want it to be everything. So there we are. I think that's covered everything. I'm still using the same pen, still using my Weeks pencil board, just because I like the size. I don't think I need a bigger one. I like this one, so I'm just going to keep using it as a bookmark. I am making an effort now to use a glue stick instead of double-sided tape, because obviously double-sided tape will add to the thickness of the book quite badly. It's quite thick. So I'm using this glue stick that I got from the journal shop. I will link it in the description if you're interested. It's a Japanese glue stick. I think this one is meant to be anti-wrinkle, so when you stick it in, it doesn't wrinkle the paper on the other side, which, to be fair, it's flat, so maybe it's working. I do remember that, oh, actually it's not even that wrinkly. This is obviously just me sticking it down a bit questionably. That's from erasing, but it's flat here, so I think it's working. I will link it, and I will link my dots I used the Pilot Friction pen still. I don't know where it is, it's not here. I got these little clamps. I ordered these from the London Graphic Centre because that was the only place that had the Midori cover in stock, and I was really scared about marking the front cover, so I panic ordered that really fast on a 24-hour shipping. And I got these because to spend £3 on overnight shipping is like questionable. So I got some clamps so that when the book gets more full I can hold them. I see everyone use these Penco ones, and I think it's because they're not aggressively grippy. Like, they're quite gentle. They feel more gentle than like the metal clamps. I do have a traveler's clamp, but it is quite like, it's angry. So I think these are going to be nicer. I'll be less worried about breaking my pages with these. They're quite nice. I got a white one and a brown one because I couldn't choose, so I was like, okay, well, they're only £1 or something, so I'll get both. It was £3.50, but I got both. So there we go. These are my supplies. I hope this is interesting. I'm sorry to those of you who are in a week's book or using my system and now you feel abandoned. Stick with it if you enjoy it. Please don't change, okay, on my account just because I changed. Like, just stick with it if it works for you. Yeah, also please tag me and I want to see. Yeah, I'm excited. I hope you're interested still. Hope I haven't lost you. But I will stop rambling. I'm going to run some errands this afternoon. Might take you with me even though it's a notebook video. Might look at some stationery. You never know. But other than that, I will get on with it. I will carry on doing my thing. I have ordered all the shop products for my patrons who placed orders, just in case you're watching. So I am trying to resolve the stuff that happened last week. But obviously PayPal aren't going to really unfreeze my account until this time next month. So I can't reopen my shop until then. Some people mentioned in the comments about like disconnecting Squarespace and adding a different payment type to help offset the costs, and just reopening the shop and using the profits to fund the other stuff. The problem with that is that because PayPal have flagged me as suspicious because I took in so many orders, they're not going to unfreeze my account until I give them tracking numbers. But then I'm worried that if I disconnect my PayPal account from my shop before I've shipped all the orders, they'll think it's even more suspicious and just take the money and run. So, which I'm pretty sure they're going to do anyway. But that's why I don't want to do that. That's my concern. That's why I have to wait so long to reopen the shop, because I don't trust PayPal. So hopefully you don't mind waiting. Everyone was really nice in the comments and I'm really grateful for that, so thank you. I will update you as and when I can. Needless to say, I'm not actually scamming you. So big up PayPal for, I don't know, trying to tank my reputation or something, I'm not sure. Yeah, okay, I'm excited about this. I'm finding a lot of comfort here. I'm finding a lot of comfort between these pages. So yeah, alright, and we'll see you next week. Thank you for watching. There's gonna be other stuff, but I'm not gonna talk anymore because I'm tired and I've been losing my voice all week. So I will catch you later. you.